story takes place in the adult timeline in Ocarina, and Link was an adult when fighting Ganondorf. Link shouldn't be a kid here. In this version of the story, Link either grew to giant size or Ganon was much smaller than normal. Like in the stream I once had of Ocarina of Time's final boss is a tiny sprite Ganon running through town. I mean, yeah, Link defeated him, but last I checked it was the sages that sealed him. Link's riding Epona with his hands out? That's unsafe. All Zelda games have to start with Link sleeping cliché. Why look at us through your telescope if we're like 6 feet away from you? This is actually disgusting. I don't think it's healthy for Grandma to be climbing this ladder. Did Link just change in front of his grandma? Or did he put these on over his Outset uniform? He's gonna be really sweaty. Nice secret, but why is this chest hidden under the house anyway? Did Grandma only have 100 rupees of retirement money, and was she worried about losing her only money? This girl carries this with one hand. So we're kidnapping pigs and throwing them into a pen. This isn't Pokemon, you know. These seagulls aren't scared of Errol, but then they switch to real physics when Link scares them. Is Errol a Disney princess? In this shot, Tetra's falling like a pancake, but in the next shot, she's falling head first. And of course, she survives. Here's our tutorial that people who mess with the game can't skip. Don't scream at us like we're idiots. We simply messed up. Thank goodness for this convenient tree that saved Tetra. She doesn't suffocate in this position. I don't think tree branches break that way without falling off. Tetra is a jerk to Link. We saw Helmrock King's point of view when it swooped down and grabbed Errol, and then a second later it's still on its way to the bridge to catch her. Come on, Link, you can't catch this long-gone bird by jumping off cliffs. What about you? You're about Link's age, so who's saying we can't be competent like you? How did you even get to be the captain at your age? Not to take Tetra's side, but how is Errol's kidnapping Tetra's fault? Tetra didn't willingly come, and what did you expect her pirates to do? Leave their captain to get abducted? Yes, they really are talking about cleaning dirty underwear in the Zelda game. So, what was Grandma doing with our shield? Was she polishing it? Or did she hide it because she's hesitant to see us leave even though we needed to save her other grandkid? The game doesn't explain this. Oh! Obvious Super Mario Bros. 3 credits ripoff song is obvious. Thanks for breaking up this emotional moment. Tetra believes Link when he says he wasn't playing that game. That's a stupid assumption to say seagulls definitely mean she's there. Link's only now realizing he's trapped in this barrel? What did he think was happening when they were putting him in? The pirates are jerks to Link. This shot shows him being launched over the Forsaken Fortress, but now he's landed in it. He's being launched towards a searchlight, now he isn't. He survives this. What pockets? I don't see any pockets. Considering everything Link endures in this game, it's amazing he doesn't lose this stone. Heck, I'm surprised it wasn't lost when he was flung into the fortress. Thanks for these convenient sticks lying around. Why turn the searchlights off when we reach you? Here's one of the things I love about this game. Using enemies' weapons against them. Why would these moblins leave a way out of the cell? Are they asking to be nominated for worst guards ever? I know the moblins are dumb, but don't they wonder why this barrel is suddenly in a different location? This is fun, but that would be way too scary. This shouldn't even be a mini-boss. He dies in like 10 seconds like one of the older Mario bosses. Why did Hammerrock King need to fly around the fortress if the place it needed to go was right next to the room it was in? I don't mind Ganondorf being in this plot, but I bet some gamers were let down because they expected a new main antagonist instead of the same one most Zelda games had. Instead of simply eating us right here, Hammerrock King just throws us into the distance. And we survive. I know people will usually float on top of water, but only for so long without moving. If it weren't for the King of Red Lion's Ex Machina, this game would be over. The King is a jerk to Link. Also, he looks more like the King of Red Dragons. This is awfully goofy music to be playing when talking about the power-hungry Ganondorf. How did the King of Red Lions get all the way here without a sail? I know it's possible to move without one, albeit at atrocious speed, but the ocean's full of enemies. If you break 2 of this rich man's vases, he charges you for the price you'll have to pay to replace them, which will make him an even richer man. What? Ugly old lady thinks she's hot cliché. Splish, splish, splish. When your shots keep missing, this sounds kind of funny, but it gets somewhat repetitive. Yeah, you look like you had so much fun with that blank expression. It's hard to talk to Ivan. You don't look that flashy to me. Jen's such an ugly boy. Why do Jin and John Roberto have pig noses? Oh no. Tingle's in this game too? Why do his shoes make this weird popping sound? What kind of morons make it this easy for kids to just wander in and free prisoners by stepping on the switch? Sorry, Tingle, I'm not sure I want to be your friend. Nor do I want the Tingle bottle. Now, he may not seem so bad at first, but just wait until later. I think falling through this rat's traps while crawling would be very scary, especially if you're falling head first. Great attention to detail of actually having Link be dripping wet when coming out of water. Lenzo has elephant eyes. This jerk sneaks up behind people to get their pictures. Are you sure Lenzo's not talking about me from back in 2011? Now he wants us to terrorize someone and get a picture of their scared face. Lenzo's terrible. Gothek's the biggest coward on Windfall Island? Then I guess this town's full of brave people because he only looks mildly annoyed when scared. Characters who love each other pretend to hate each other, cliche. I can imagine there's probably someone on the planet that's stupid enough to deliberately play the entire game without using the sail. I believe now's a great time to mention how much I love the graphics. However, the sailing can get kinda repetitive. Thank goodness for the swift sail. Like Buzz Blobs, 2 enemies look like Wobbuffet. It's that time of the video to subtract sins for every amazing song. Roll credits. Yeah, he didn't have that Wind Waker before. Besides, he'd have swallowed it during that long ride. Unless he regurgitated it. If the Ritos will do anything for you, I don't understand why they don't fly to the Forsaken Fortress and save Arrow. Is Medley even old enough to attend to a powerful dragon? She's a child. Scene does not contain a lap dance. How will a human and bird person relationship work? Really easy? Yeah, right. I understand it's your treasure, but don't you care that the world depends on it? Link gets nothing in his eyes from this. The person who could have handled this with no problem has died, cliche. Accidental child abuse. I don't think water that's been in this heat wave will exactly be helpful to plants. I think this water would evaporate if it was just sitting out in a volcano. This is an awesome outside bit with a great view. Pulling these blocks out from under these other blocks should be impossible. This whole crisis could have been averted if Valu didn't randomly stick his tail in the crater. Medley's not wearing underwear, making this underage upskirt shot even creepier. I love the grappling hook, but when I think about it, it's around a bar, making turning impossible. Thank goodness for Valu's convenient grappling point-shaped tail, otherwise we'd be no match for Goma. I'm not a fan of this boss theme. It sounds whiny. There's nothing above the rock chunk. Where's Valu? Stupid Goma puts it back so we can repeat the process. This doesn't make Goma blind. Somehow they remixed Majora's Mask's depressing final hours theme into a satisfying sound effect. Yes, I know my comment's unoriginal, but that's what I thought when I heard this when I first played this. I'm glad Komali's being nicer to us, but I think he's starting to use our name a bit too much. This man lives with his mom? How embarrassing. Nice touch with Link's hat blowing in the wind, but how does it stay on? So the one with the Wind Waker is called the Wind Waker? Weird. If a monster grabs us, is that monster a Wind Waker? If an even bigger monster grabs that monster, does that monster become a Wind Waker too? The Matfish is cool, but giving them bait gets repetitive. Kashiko's a bad parent. Saying you can't fight evil on an empty stomach isn't saying much when you can't fight at all. What does the King of Red Lions do the whole time we're away? Does he just sit there bored? Then again, this piece is what all true warriors strive for. Kokiri Forest wasn't on a mountain, so how is it not gone? Wind Waker's Great Deku Tree looks dumb. Never say that again. Discount Hoppip. How did living on the seas turn the Kokiri into Koraks? I don't understand. We got here at the exact time of the year where they perform a certain ritual. How did they learn this certain ritual would save them every year? Did they just randomly do different dances when they were wilting and get lucky enough to find the right one without even knowing they could save themselves? Forbidden Woods? Are you sure this isn't the cartoony Harry Potter? These plants eating Link don't hurt him. Link hears Round calling him from this distance. I guess this guy being impressed by us getting all the way out here would be understandable, but how did he get out here? Kamikaze Goal. The Nintendo Gallery's kinda dumb. It takes way too long to complete it, and your reward's underwhelming. This has no guardrails. Link will definitely fall off and die. This is the quickest wilting nut I've seen in my entire life. Link shouldn't be able to lift it. I hate Morths. Birds can carry these heavy moblins. This poisonous looking water is safe. A big empty room at the end of a dungeon. I wonder what'll happen. Makar, don't stand on top of a carnivorous looking plant. Of course I'm your rescuer. Duh! Be careful where you drop the Ferrari's pearl. You can shatter it, or hurt someone. See, it almost crushed Makar. Game predicted the minions. That sounds so dumb. This fire doesn't burn the submarine. I actually feel kinda sorry for this blue chew jelly being stuck on these small angular isles. Sometimes when sailing, water phases through the bottom, which would definitely cause it to sink. Leaf golfing. Wow, this is dark. Seeing a whole island in ruins. Quill arrived right when we needed to know Jabun's whereabouts. This already intense scene got even more intense by cursing the Great Sea and making it feel more dangerous. This might be more intense than the ending. Sure, the townspeople won't notice this huge ship. The bomb shop owner doesn't fall over like this. Characters mention the main character not knowing he's listening, cliche. Mako, I hate you. Come on, Mako. Gonzo's too old for Tetra. Tetra catches us spying on her, but despite barely caring about her crew's needs, lets the crew rest. I know she expects to beat us, but some risks shouldn't be taken. Pirates happen to discuss the password in full view of us. What a jerk. There's no way out if Nico gets stuck inside. Yes, I'm sure Tetra won't know we have them, but she'll still notice they're gone and make you walk the plank. Why does the pirates need bombs from the shop if they already had these bombs? I doubt they'd steal the bombs, store them in the ship, run back and torment the shopkeeper again, and come back after that. Game gives us false suspense by making us worry about Tetra beating us there, but it turns out morning hasn't arrived, which I already removed sins for, but now I'm re-adding one. Yeah, we shouldn't worry about this eternal night that'll cause half the world to freeze and the other half of it being stuck with constant heat waves due to never-ending sunlight. I'm pretty sure I brought 3 pigs here. Did this pig eat the other 2? No wonder it got so huge. We can't take this bridge anymore for the rest of the game. It's great we have the Deku Leaf, but come on! This great fairy isn't as scary as her Ocarina of Time counterpart, but she looks dumber. As if putting fairies in bottles didn't seem cruel enough, now they're crying when caught. This letter should be soaked and unreadable. Come on, Orca, how are we supposed to get hundreds of hits before you hit us 3 times? How's that fair? The King of Red Lions is a jerk. Even if another dungeon's coming up, they're still just handing us the last pearl. The king knows who Zelda's descendant is, but keeps it secret so it's a big surprise in a couple hours. This is definitely one of the scariest mood whiplashes in Zelda. However, I'm giving a sin back for potentially traumatizing children, and being an annoying interruption. How are people supposed to know that a flock of seagulls means a big octo is nearby? Especially if the player doesn't have the boomerang, which you can't kill Big Octo without. These Big Octos eat us, but then they just spit us out. Link looks so creepy when he makes his face. These towers are cool, but you don't get much from them. Nice cannon minigame, but couldn't Salvatore close it off when cannon shooting's in process? Someone could get hurt. Seeing him dress up as Tetra is somewhat creepy. Pompey looks creepy too. Who makes people need to fill up some bar in order to be able to bid? The other contestants are mind blown about how much money you were able to bid, then they bid even more than that. Mrs. Murray doesn't want anyone to know we have the deed, but what if someone sails by and sees us entering the cabana? This huge seagull flock doesn't trigger a Big Octo. How Link managed to get all the way back to this platform without drowning first after he wins this minigame, I'll never know. What does this franchise have against the moon? Majora's Mask, it tried to crush us all. In Breath of the Wild, there was a scary blood moon that revived the enemies you defeated. And now this. Magtail Basketball. So now we're partners with a Zenari, but it won't matter since we barely talked to him. Character pours beaker and it explodes instantly, cliche. Cool shot, but where are the other islands? Did they sink? At the rate Link sent flying, he wouldn't be able to hit the Tower of the Gods. It can't rise that fast. Also, his face is definitely broken. How did you get here so fast? The water is rising and lowering, making me wonder how it's not like that outside despite being connected to the ocean. This tower with God-made puzzles has these statues right next to where they should be placed. Water doesn't conduct electric, choose electricity. Beamos are so annoying in this game. Link can jump while holding this large statue. Another thing I love is knocking off Darknut's armor. They look like weird horses without armor. I love this boss, and he has quite possibly the best boss theme in the game, but boss is a head and separate arms cliche. I can't take that seriously. Link doesn't get dizzy ringing this huge bell. I never knew boats could sink on their own. What do you mean? It's not that hard. This enemy gauntlet is pretty interesting, but it's a complete nightmare on hero mode. I've died like around 25 times. That laugh is way too derpy for these intense fights. Great Fish's Isle ruins don't really have that feeling during the daytime. This training sequence isn't as long or interesting as the others. How did these Gorons get out here? I don't think their rafts could support their weight. It's kind of a pain that you have to spend a lot of rupees in this training sequence, especially since something's happening later where you have to spend even more, so you might not be ready. What are you talking about? There's no blemish on the sickle moon flag. This Goron came from far, far away. Did he happen to see Fiona's parents there? So you trade a flag for a flag, then you trade a flag back to the guy you got it from. That seems kind of pointless. Retotem. Why would being able to use the magic armor while sailing be an of course? I wouldn't have guessed that. This forest water is pouring into the ocean, but since the trees are picky, you have to go across this somewhat tedious segment and into the forest haven to get this forest water in order to heal the Korok trees. Korok trees have cactuar faces from Final Fantasy and grow really fast. Phantom Ganon is easy. It doesn't take that many rounds to kill him. Besides, Dead Man's Volley gets somewhat old in the series. These girls look like they could fit through the bars. What's Link doing with his head? Oh, come on! We don't get to save our sister or the other trapped maidens? I'm glad Tetra gets to prove herself useful, but we can't play any part in saving them. How many times do you get to climb a flooding segment during a boss fight? The second phase is talked about way too much. Doesn't Sparkle with the power to repel evil? When you word it like that, it sounds somewhat dumb. If we stood no chance against Ganondorf, what makes Tetra think she will? Rito's Ex Machina. And if you slow down the footage, the Ritos don't even grab Tetra. They swoop in and then she disappears a few frames too early. Character will accept to see someone making a silly face cliche. What do you mean, get to where that voice is? He's right here. You're looking in his direction. Even I knew that. How does that make any sense? Because you invented the Gossip Stone, that means you can speak with anyone through it? Even the inventor of iPhones wouldn't have been able to speak to everyone who uses an iPhone. He'd have to get their phone number first. Good to know, the gods destroyed Hyrule for nothing since Ganondorf's still out there. Because Tetra is Zelda's descendant, that means she has to completely change her face and name? I feel sorry for her. Also, since Link and Zelda aren't related, that means the Ocarina versions of Link and Zelda married someone else. Nintendo just took a huge dump on Zelda-Link fans. But since it seems accidental, I'll give 3 sins instead of 10. I bet Zelda will love being locked up in a room for several hours. Of course, that 201 rupee letter would be from that greedy idiot Tingle. So, an incredibly beautiful fairy lives on Mother and Child Islands? She looks underage, so that's unsettling coming from this fish. Even if you already met her, this fish tells you no one's met her. Did those fairies just fly inside Link? Mila's father is such a jerk. It's not our fault that someone rescued your daughter before we did. What makes it this hard to light a lighthouse? Did Link just perfectly imitate a cat meowing? Interesting stealth mission, but if Mila wanted to get to that safe, why couldn't she have just gone there? She was really close to it. Maggie supports bestiality. She trusts this random kid not to read her letter. Why is Maggie's father such a huge jerk to postmen? The game literally doesn't explain this. Stop saying that, you stupid dunce! It's getting really annoying. Why didn't I put you on my hated Zelda characters list? The postman actually thinks that stupid jerk will let us in. Do you really think he... Wait, that worked? I know we're supposed to find this cute, but it's not. Mo actually wants to eat Maggie. Maggie misinterprets that as a marriage proposal, and we're supposed to find that cute and or funny. It's neither. But next time you talk to her, she says she couldn't bring herself to leave to find Mo because she couldn't leave her dear father behind. I'm glad she won't get eaten, but what does she mean, dear father? There's nothing likable about her stupid father. These arrows that freeze enemies for like 2 seconds can freeze a volcano for 5 minutes. Ice Mountain's much harder than Fire Mountain. Also, I know this game's in the tropical setting, but I kinda wish this place had a song playing in it, so this game had a winter theme. I don't hate this enemy gauntlet, but it goes on for too long. About 75 seconds of stealing this huge pig and bringing it to this mud pit. I hope Larudo didn't have plans before being called to spend an eternity in some temple. We can hear Medley's beautiful harp music from all the way from the bottom of the island. Character faints after remembering something important cliche. Now I'm adding 2 sins for making us constantly have to play the command melody. Medley's harp is conveniently shiny enough to be used like a mirror. Does every mini-boss in the game need to come back as a normal enemy? And in the same dungeon? Someone at Nintendo decided, hey, remember the pink elephant scene from Dumbo? Let's reenact that scene except with pigs instead of elephants. I love this boss a lot, but it's a ripoff of Boolossus from Luigi's Mansion. Light Ex Machina. Medley tells us to watch Komali while she's gone, but we're not even going to do that. I thought Fatal was a girl. Mekar's right. How do we hear him behind that waterfall? Where's the applause coming from? I understand why the haunted temple is called the Earth Temple, and why the desert-like temple full of plants is called the Wind Temple, but I'd prefer if it was the other way around. One of the fan-favorite Zelda weapons is one of the last moves you get in this game. Discount Twin Mold. How did Makar see the Lion King? So you're worried that something happened to Zelda. But we found out earlier that you're controlling this boat from Hyrule Castle, and you should be with her right now. And now begins arguably one of the most boring fetch quests in the series. You search around the entire ocean for Triforce charts, then you get them deciphered, then you have to search the entire ocean again to find Triforce shards. But thankfully you don't have to find nearly as much as you did in the GameCube version, however I still have to send it. For some reason I love this divider wall thing, but why would Lenzo here make this hallway hard to get to? It's a shame we don't get to hear enough of Elephant Man here's conversation. How does showing these women a picture of these guys talking mean they're not dating? Linda rewards us for getting her and Anton together by ripping out her heart and giving it to us. Island of Steel is kind of annoying because of the enemies. Why does Tingle have carvings of children on his island? That's disturbing. Tingle charges us 398 rupees to decipher the Triforce charts. How the heck is this greedy twit such a popular character in Japan? And why can't we just have the King of Red Lions translate them? You'd think the King of Hyrule would understand highly in text. As if this fetch quest wasn't long enough, the beacons disappear when you get close. So you have to be very precise when using the salvage arm. I can tolerate this teleportation pot maze, but do they have to add wall masters? The ghost ship is a huge wasted opportunity. It's just a normal enemy ship with small differences. Nice move. You even had a Triforce shard be between a bunch of warships. This talking doorman thing yelling at you is actually extremely creepy. No one told us there'd be a maze in this cabana. Pit of 100 Zelda trials. And your prize for finishing this whole thing is a hero's charm when a heart container would make more sense. It does let us see enemies' HP, but we can't see Link's facial expressions during cutscenes. How does the King of Red Lions not break his neck when he bends his head back like this? After nearly an hour, we're finally back to the main plot. And if you think that's weird, the GameCube version takes 4 hours. Of course. Ganondorf thinks these Iron Knuckles, which we've defeated plenty of on our quest, will be enough to stop us. The main boss rush hub room's design is modeled after Dragon Rouge Cavern, giving us more of it than the other 3 pre-boss rooms you see in the rematches. How did Ganon create another Velu, and why? Wouldn't it make more sense to leave him out and leave us with no way of beating Goma? The fact that these bosses are in black and white takes away one of the things that made Jahala and Kali Deimos enjoyable. Thank you, game, for making us have to freeze another 2 to activate the same staircase. Why would you make us remember the order of the candles if you just show us the order when we come in here anyway? Here we go with another of those Lost Woods levels, but this time you only see where to go by what direction the hill's facing in. Kind of a jerk move if you ask me. Now Phantom Ganon becomes the easiest boss in the whole series. And yes, this is the intended way to beat him. I understand Ganondorf's supposed to be the bad guy and all, but seeing an old man put his hand this close to a young girl's head, are you sure this game's suitable for kids? Ganondorf actually brings up a somewhat convincing argument. I mean, yeah, a new Hyrule will be built prior to Spirit Tracks, but couldn't they have just banished Ganondorf instead of killing thousands of innocent people by destroying Hyrule? So we actually see Ganondorf transform into a puppet, but this isn't really Ganondorf? I'm kinda confused. Also, while this boss is definitely creepy, it's still kinda strange to see a puppet as one of the phases of the final boss in the Zelda game. This haunting variation of the boss defeated theme is definitely menacing. The spider face can be a real stinker at times. His legs can block you from getting to his weak point, and people say this phase is pathetic. And now his final form, which is infamous for how fast he is, making hitting him difficult. And did I forget to mention light arrows cost magic? Link's eyebrows phase through his hair.
23 seconds of rope climbing.
What is he blabbering on about, face? Well, good thing Link's sword didn't land 2 inches further or else Zelda would have been impaled. Wait, so Ganondorf can call forth the Triforce if all 3 Triforce piece wielders are in the same room? If so, why couldn't he do that in Ocarina of Time? He had 3 opportunities to do that. King Daphne's Hyrule Ex Machina. If the Great Sea wasn't enough to seal away Ganondorf before, what makes the king so sure it will this time? How is Zelda's dress not getting soiled from this rain? Having to deflect this light arrow at Ganon takes several tries. However, this epic final battle still feels somewhat cut short for a final fight.
King Daphne's Hyrule doesn't really have a good enough reason for staying behind and drowning other than I'm a being of this land. Characters try to reach out and grab each other's hands but can't, cliché.
Okay game, you got me. I'll take off some sense for this emotionally charged moment. If Link can stay above water for more than a minute, how come he suddenly can now? The pirates find us out of everywhere in the entire ocean they could have looked. If not, we would have drowned for sure, and the king's promise of the new Hyrule being our land would have been a broken promise. I'm glad Medley and Makar didn't have to spend the rest of their lives in the temples, but do the pirates even know these two? How did they wind up on their ship?
Link is really going to look inferior when he's riding his small boat while his shipmates are riding this much bigger pirate ship.
You are